Welcome to the Big Game Hunting Podcast, where we help hunters like you prepare for the big game hunting adventures you've always dreamed of. Now, here's your host, John McAdams.
Hello, John McAdams here, and you are listening to episode 242 of the Big Game Hunting Podcast. Ben Frank is up next in my ongoing series on new products and updates from rifle and ammunition manufacturers for 2023 to share the details on what's new with Browning and Winchester on the ammo front. Before we get started with that, make sure you are on my email list. To do that, go to huntingguns101.com and sign up for my free ebook on the best hunting cartridges if you haven't already done that. You'll get the ebook when you do so, and you'll also receive the emails I send out every weekday. These are entertaining and informative emails about hunting, shooting, ballistics, etc., and I get feedback all the time from people that are on the list telling me how much they enjoy receiving them and how much they look forward to hearing from me every day. So make sure you are getting them too by going to huntingguns101.com or click the link in the show notes. Okay, let's get started talking about the new stuff from Winchester and Browning this year. Okay, good morning, Ben. It is great to talk to you today here in early 2023 about all the new stuff on the ammo lines in particular from Winchester and Browning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, why don't you start off with, what seems like the big new product from Winchester with your big bore handgun ammo.
Yeah, so, we've over the last, few years especially had a lot of people just asking us about what should I take to the field to protect myself from big game animals. For instance, like if I'm out on a, hunt out west and there's potentially bear around or mountain lions or even coyotes, things like that, wolves, what's best to carry. And a lot of it has to do with what pistol you actually have. And a lot of people are buying 10 millimeters today, but, 45 Colt, 44 rim mag, 357 mag, a lot of people carry those as well. And, we wanted to design a product that was specifically for those particular pistols and for that particular end use, so to speak. You can also hunt with them too. But these are soft lead nose bullets that are going to expand consistently through really any barrier that you're going to face in terms of, a big game, dangerous game type scenario, and, just great to carry along with you out in the field.
Okay, very, very good. And so it looks like you covered everything all the chamberings that's offered in 10 millimeter, 357, 44 Magnum, and 45 Colt, right?
Yeah, and, we'll continue to look at that to see if we need to add to it. Those are going to be the highest volume items and the largest need right now, but we're considering looking at, the 460 S&W, 454 Casull, and even the 500 S&W down the road.
All right, fair enough. Next is kind of a expansion / rebranding of stuff with your Copper Impact line. So it sounds like from what you and I were talking about, the Copper Impact started as kind of a subset of your Deer Season XP line, where you had copper bullets intended for people that were wanted to or required to hunt deer with lead-free ammo, and then you kind of spun that off into its own deal where you have some lighter bullet weights that are still suitable for deer, but you've also added some heavier bullet weights in certain chamberings so that it's a little bit more flexible of ammo for bigger game, right?
Yes, you hit it pretty well there. But, the main reason when we built this bullet was not only just to be a lead-free bullet, but also to, really create a bullet that's going to be tough and retain a ton of weight and penetrate a bunch. And, the way we're able to get that thing to expand quickly is with that large polymer tip. So if you look at a lot of different solid copper bullets, really no one's going to have a polymer tip the size that we use in Copper Impact. And it's very similar to the Deer Season design with that extreme point tip. It's a little different because when you use just the solid copper, you don't have to have quite the same dimensions to it, but it has a very similar expansion properties. But the fact that it's solid copper, it just retains almost 100% of its weight. So, it really is one of the reasons why we rebranded it, is because we started realizing that this thing's more than just a whitetail bullet. This can be used on really anything in North America. It's a true big game bullet if you've got the right cartridges.
Yeah, looking at that ammo, especially comparing the bullet to other more traditional bullet designs, it just looks very, very different with, like you said, that gigantic tip at the front and that large diameter. But man, I have some that you sent me for my 6.5 Creedmoor, that 125 grain copper extreme point. And my goodness, that stuff, one, it shoots really accurately, almost as accurately as Hornady's Precision Hunter. They're like right there neck and neck with it. And it worked really good. I actually killed my biggest hog ever with that 6.5 Creedmoor using that copper extreme point, and it exited on that really big hog too, which I don't know that it would have if it were, say, your traditional Deer Season XP line with the lead core ammo and whatnot.
Yeah, probably not, and that's not to, bag on, leaded bullets in deer season, because obviously that's a huge product for us. It does great. But if you're wanting a little more penetration out of it, you'll certainly get that with copper impact. And, as you said, with that large diameter tip in the front, all copper bullets, depending upon who's building them, they usually retain a lot of weight. But that frontal diameter and the way it expands can often be a little different. Some of them make a bit of an X. Some of them create more of a nail head kind of scenario. But with copper impact, it really gets some really good expansion as well, which transfers a bunch of energy that sometimes you don't get out of just punching a hole through something. So we try to create something there that kind of gives you the best of both worlds, gets you a bunch of energy dump, but also is going to get you that penetration like you saw in the hog you killed.
So in this line, we have 243 Winchester, 270 WSM, 300 Win Mag, 300 WSM, 30-06, 308, 350 Legend, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 6.8 Western, and 7mm Remington Magnum in there. And you got 150 grain loading for the 7 mag, and then 150 and 180 grain loadings for all the 30 caliber stuff in there, looks like.
Yes, you touched on all of them that I believe that we have currently, but we're going to continue to work to expand that line into really even some of the more not as large volume cartridges, 7mm odd 8. We'll look at that one, just as we continue to grow that brand. We've hit pretty much a lot of the high running ones, right? Mm-hmm. And we may even add some weights to some of those as well, but we want to be able to offer copper impact in as many different cartridges as we possibly can. And it's a bullet that we make in-house and we're pretty proud of and we're pretty good at doing. So we see that one just continuing to grow in years to come.
Now, speaking of stuff that you guys make in-house, I see that you also added, looks like 300 Blackout and 35 Wayland to your PowerPoint line this year as well.
Yep. So PowerPoint is probably, well, not even probably, it's the most popular bullet that we've had and have had for decades. Probably more, critters have been taken down with a PowerPoint bullet from Winchester than any other bullet we've built. And we added 300 Blackout and 35 Wayland. It just makes a lot of sense for us to, again, particularly in 300 Blackout, that's, probably one of the top 10 cartridges that we produce by volume. It just made sense to have a PowerPoint offering there. And then 35 Wayland, is more of a regional play. There's certain states where that 35 Wayland is legal during primitive hunting seasons, and there's just quite a few rifles out there. Again, maybe not in the top 10 volume-wise type cartridges, but it's something that we hadn't offered before, and now we offer it in PowerPoint.
Yeah, I know that Remington offers 35 Wayland ammo in their Core Lock line, so it's good to see that you can get it in PowerPoint as well, because that cartridge, it's darn effective for the guys that use it and are able to get ammo for it, but there's not too many options out there, and I'm glad there's one more now.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Talk to us about the new shotgun ammo, your E-Tech stuff.
Yeah, so E-Tech is a pretty fun one, and it's something that we've been working on really for quite some time. And you'll see others out there today that have more, I'll call it bio-friendly wads that, maybe break down a little more quickly than standard plastic. And we've been working on wads like that ourselves. A lot of other biopolymers, things that are, won't take, generations and generations to break down, thousands of years, this is going to be, something that is made out of a material that will break down and go back into the environment a little more quickly. And, it's actually very difficult to use those polymers in shot shell wads because, what we found over the last few, not more than a few years of us testing those things, the pressures and the setback forces that happen when you shoot a shot shell really are difficult to keep those wads together. You end up having things like off sounds and, stuff left in the bore, the wads break apart. And, those are all the hurdles that we've been, facing over the last, 8 to 10 years of working with biopolymers. Well, we finally found something that we're, really happy with the performance. And really we were working with BioAmmo with their wad that they had in their products. And we were able to get that wad technology and put that into a Winchester product. So it has basically a BioAmmo wad in there, and we have a lead load as well as a steel load. And those wads, over time will break down much more quickly than standard plastic will.
That's the interesting thing about shotguns, right? Especially you're out in an area where you shoot a lot. Maybe you were doing a bunch of dove hunting or something like that. You pick up all your shotgun shells when you're done, but man, the wads are a whole lot harder to find, and then they're just kind of scattered all over the place out there in the field. So it is nice to have something that, isn't going to be as long-term of a problem there.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things for us too. Why it took so long is we were very cognizant of performance on target. So we didn't want to just have a wad that would break down quickly and check that box. It needed to be something that when you went to shoot targets or doves or anything like that, you weren't going to notice much of a difference in your pattern performance and your on-target performance. And that's why it took us so long to get there, but we're there now with E-Tech.
Well, very good. Is your guys' long-term goal with this to offer these environmental wads and more target and hunting loads as the years go by?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't anticipate this being giant volumes right off the get-go. It does cost a little bit more right now for biopolymers, just the economies of scale and where that's needed and where people are wanting that is not, super widespread, but we see it as like if things start to turn that way and we need those in more and more areas, we've got some technology now that we can start to, work with, like you said, in those other things like waterfowl loads, upland loads, things like that. And it just would be a natural progression, so to speak, to be able to do that. But like I said, we finally found some technology that does work. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities there.
Okay, very good. Anything else you want to talk about with new stuff from Winchester before you put on your Browning hat?
Yeah, I think the last thing that I'd probably mention is just over the last year, you probably have seen some new packaging hit the shelves. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get asked those kinds of questions about, is it the same thing? And, it really is. So like, for instance, PowerPoint, brand new packaging, deer season, new packaging, double A's, Super Target, all our white box stuff is all transitioning to some new designs. And it really was just, it hadn't been probably 10 to 12 years since we had a packaging redesign, and a lot of things have changed, a lot more online sales these days. Just we needed a refresh. So if you're out there and you're, looking for Winchester ammo and it looks a little bit different, just trust that it's the same thing in the box. Just the boxes look a little bit different today.
Okay, fair enough. Well, tell us about this new Max Point ammo from Browning.
Okay, so on the Browning side of the house, over the last couple years, we've really, and I'll just be honest, we've struggled a bit to get rifle ammo out the door. Getting bullets to be able to put into those products was a struggle. And, a lot of it had to do with just the struggles that we saw with COVID and getting materials. For instance, Max Point, the big driver there was it's a replacement for our BXR. So if you've ever shot BXR, it's another large polymer tipped bullet, but it also uses a polymer that is impregnated with copper. So it's like a matrix tip is what we called it. Well, all of a sudden, in the midst of, all these material issues, we could no longer get the matrix tip material. They just weren't going to make it anymore. Just out of the blue, it's like, look, we're having all kinds of issues just making stuff in general. Can't make that anymore. Sorry, we're out. Well, that was a key feature to BXR. And we're like, well, shoot, what are we going to do? So we started to go down the path of what can we do to build some bullets in-house with materials that we know we can get and actually make an even better product. And that's where Max Point came in. So we took that large polymer tip, just used a standard polymer this time, and then worked on increased weights. So really, if you kind of compare it to the BXR prior to, the bullets were 150, 155 grain in 30 cal. Now we've got 180 grain bullets. And then we've thickened up the jacket a bit to try to get some additional weight retention and penetration that you really didn't see out of BXR. So again, a very rapid expanding bullet, and very accurate bullet, but heavier, and you're going to get even, deeper penetration than what we were seeing out of Max Point or out of BXR rather. And we'll be using the same cartridges, calibers that we had with BXR. So we had probably 11 or 12, maybe even 13 now with 6.8 Western, different cartridges that we will offer in Max Point.
Okay, very good. So going down the list here, I see 243, 270, 270 WSM, 300 Win Mag, 300 WSM, 30-06, 30-30, 308, 350 Legend, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 6.8 Western, 7 Rim Mag, and 7mm 08. So all of that stuff, like you said, is ideally designed for deer size game, deer, antelope. That's your more rapidly expanding stuff. Yep,
it'll be more of a, deer particularly. I mean, could it transition to some, a little bit larger? Yes, but you're going to have not quite as much weight retention as what you might get out of some larger big game bullets, say like even Winchester's Copper Impact. So, but an awesome whitetail cartridge, awesome whitetail bullet.
Okay, but is your Silver Series your stuff that is better intended for bigger game?
Yeah, I mean, depending upon cartridge caliber, you're going to retain a little bit more weight with that pointed soft point bullet, but you're not going to quite have as high of BCs. It's going to be, more of an opening price point, pointed soft point with a nickel plated bullet jacket. So kind of similar to Core Locked or Winchester's PowerPoint. It's an offering within Browning that, again, is a bullet that we build in-house, and we can, help our Browning customers have Browning products in their store in virtually every cartridge caliber that we can build. Targeting in this instance the heavier for caliber bullet weights in Silver Series. So, yes, if you're using a 30-06 or 300 Win Mag, a 180 grain bullet there, those are going to hold together, pretty well in terms of, their just terminal performance compared to, say, like one of those, more rapidly expanding polymer tip bullets.
And so in that same, exactly like you're saying here, like for the listener, 243 Winchester is available in 100 grain loading in the Silver Series, whereas it's a 95 grain loading in the Max Point. 270, 150 grain in this one versus 130 grains in the Max Point. And 300 Win Mag, 30-06, 30-30, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.8 Western, 7 Rim Mag, and 350 Legend here in the Silver Series.
Yep. And that'll be another one where we continue to add to the line. It's, something that it's a bread and butter type bullet that virtually any customer, any store, or really any shooter who has that firearm can always trust that it's going to be able to perform on pretty much anything you want to shoot it at here in North America.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your Suppressor Ready 22, since I see that on the new products here with Browning.
Yeah, that's probably, another one, within the Browning lineup there. The top three would be those three that, including this one. And it's really designed to be in those subsonic pistol length barrels. So like the Browning Buckmark, I think it's the Buckmark Plus, and it almost looks like, something you'd see on Star Wars. I'd take a look at it if you ever get a chance. It's got the, gold on it. It's a pretty cool looking pistol, but this product, this Sub 22, works great in pistols such as that. particularly with suppressors, just designed around that with more and more people out there wanting to shoot suppressed. It's a lot of fun. It makes next to no noise, and it's just, like I said, a lot of fun to shoot.
Okay, very, very good with that stuff. Let's talk about the 6.8 Western for a minute, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you initially rolled it out with the Expedition Big Game Long Range, with that 165 grain AccuBond Long Range, and then the Browning Pro Hunter with the 175 grain Sierra Tipped Game King. And since then, right, you've rolled out other ammo for it, right? It's available in the both your Max Point and your Silver Series now on the Browning side. It's available in your PowerPoint, Ballistic Silver Tip, Copper Impact on the Winchester side. And it seems like you guys are, so Winchester and Browning also make rifles for it. And I saw that Christensen Arms is picking up the cartridge as well this year. Any other news with that stuff regarding the cartridge?
I've heard a few others that are playing around with rifles as well. Christensen Arms had been playing around with it, and now they introduced it, as you said, there at SHOT. So that'll definitely be helpful. Browning, Winchester continue to crank out rifles, and from what I hear, the rifles pretty well hit the shelf and they're out the door. And we're doing everything we can to support having ammo on the shelf. I don't anticipate. If my goal is to really continue to just carpet bomb customers with 6.8 Western, so that when they get rifles, there's stuff there for people to shoot. And I think a big part of just buying a new cartridge and a new rifle, you want to have that confidence that ammo is going to be available. And 6.8 Western's a big deal for us. So, we're definitely supporting it in a big way. I think the last couple of years, we did struggle to get some bullets on the AccuBond and the Pro Hunter front, but some of that stuff is starting to come in now in terms of bullets. And so I think in 2023, we'll get to see more of that being loaded actually here pretty soon. I believe the Pro Hunter should be loading, and we've just loaded a little bit more of the AccuBond recently as well. So I think that's going to turn around. We've done a lot of things internally to, again, be more self-sufficient on our own bullets. So Copper Impact's a bullet we build. We've built a ton of it in 6.8 Western, and we plan on doing so throughout this year. And it's an awesome bullet. It's, probably one of the highest ballistic coefficient solid copper bullets that exists today. And it's just super accurate. We've got a PowerPoint there now. We've got Browning Silver Series. The Max Point is going to have a 6.8 Western in it as well. So, and we're just continuing to look at other ways to expand those 6.8 Western bullet offerings.
Yeah, that is good news. You and I have talked about this kind of off and on for the last year. You relayed to me some of the things you just said there about how with all of this stuff, when you have, you're relying on a different company to make your bullets, like you were with both the Long Range Pro and the AccuBond Long Ranges from Nosler. I know those companies are doing their best to fulfill demand for their own products that they sell ammo for, as well as providing their stuff to other companies like Winchester and Browning that make their stuff. But you're still kind of at the mercy of them. Whereas if you're making it in-house, like the PowerPoint and the Copper Extreme Point, you have more control over that. And, to that end, it seems like, at least for the last year, finding 6.8 Western ammo, say in that Copper Impact line in particular, has not been hard at all. It's just been kind of some of the other stuff, especially the AccuBond Long Ranges, that people seem to be getting more frustrated about with it. And, I understand it's a good bullet, even though that Copper Impact is itself a darn good bullet too.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not want to throw those guys under the bus by any stretch, because they were going through difficult times just like us with things, and they're a good partner. Both of those companies are good partners of ours, and will continue to be. And those products are going to continue to be a part of our lineup in 6.8 Western. It's just that there was a bit of a lull of being able to get them over the last year and a half. But like I said, I think just even seeing what we've started to roll in on some of those bullets in the last even month and a half, I'm pretty excited about 2023 and being able to offer those in a pretty big way again, which is, I think, good for the cartridge, because like you said, you got a lot of people that were sold on those bullets, and rightfully so. They're great bullets, but just from a confidence in the cartridge and confidence in where we stand in terms of building ammo for it, like, as you said, we wanted to make it known that we were going to be able to build ammo to support 6.8 Western, and I think we did that with copper impact and those other items as well. But having all of them is what I'd like to see, and I think is going to happen here in 2023.
That seems to be a sentiment I'm hearing from everyone I'm talking to in the industry now. Everyone is feeling a lot better now about things than they were a year ago, and even better than 2 years ago in 2021. So I'm glad to see that, and people will be excited to see those AccuBond long range and the Sierra bullets coming back online and all that stuff and being more available, and they can use that for some of their more longer range and or bigger game pursuits in the 6.8 Western, and then use like the PowerPoint or something like that on deer or something as kind of a lower cost alternative. So good news all around there.
Yep. Yeah, I think it, particularly on a performance cartridge like that, we need those bullets, and we recognize that as well. And again, Winchester's not done looking at different bullet technologies as well, but those guys will continue to partner with them on. We've got some great product lines with Nozzle, with the ballistic silver tip and AccuBond, and then with Sierra, with some of the things that we have going on with Browning. So, we'll continue to work together on those, and having a wide selection for someone, I think is key as well. If you just have one bullet, particularly on something that's potentially long range like that, someone may question whether or not they want to buy that rifle. So that's important to us to continue to push to have all those.
Now, I think it was, switching gears here, I think it was last year that you guys started offering 6.5 PRC ammo, and you offer it in your Copper Impact and the Expedition Big Game Long Range. Any plans in the future to expand that lineup with the 6.5 PRC and or add the 300 or the 7mm PRC?
I think I'll just be honest. We offered quite a few 6.5 PRCs, and we haven't done a great job of building enough of it. But I do, again, that's another one here in 2023. I think we're going to be able to turn the corner on and rectify that. So I think you'll see a lot more 6.5 PRC ammo coming out of Winchester here this year. We have 6 different offerings, but I think quite a few of them we actually haven't delivered much of any of them. But I think that here in 2023, that's going to change. In terms of adding some others, first, catching up on 6.5 PRC is important to us. But I think for us, and this is just a, crystal ball. This isn't, I don't want anyone to feel like, hey, this is what we're definitely doing. But, we're definitely looking at the 7mm PRC. Not saying we haven't looked at 300 as well, but given the current buzz with 7mm and then just some of the things around that particular one, maybe that's the one we look at first. But a lot of times we talk with our customers and the end users and see what's kind of, what they would like next. And, we're here to sell and make ammo to help support, people out there with rifles. And so if that's going to be a rifle there's going to be a bunch of, we're going to, be a part of that.
Now, kind of, once again, switching gears one last time on you, I heard that, and I'll talk to Rafe about this in more detail here in a couple of weeks, but I heard that Browning introduced a 270 Winchester rifle with a fast rifling twist that it can use some of those higher BC 270 or 277 caliber bullets, like that 165 grain AccuBond long range that you use in the 6.8 Western. I know if anything happens with this and on the ammo side, it would be, further down the line, but is there a possibility that you could see 270 Winchester ammo using heavier and higher BC bullets down the line to kind of take advantage of those factory rifles with the faster rifling twist?
Could be. I just heard about that at the SHOT Show as well. In talking with them about it, I think it's something a little new for them. More than likely it's for the hand loader guy out there. I don't really know how large of a volume they're anticipating. We'll talk with them about it in terms of just how many people they think will be, purchasing those rifles. And again, if there's a bunch of rifles out there and it, seems like we need to load something along those lines, sometimes for us, since we make ammo for everyone kind of thing, whether it's opening price point all the way to long range, high performance stuff, the concern can sometimes be you put something out there on the shelf and the average Joe who has a 270 buys it and then he doesn't know what to do with something that's not shooting straight, So you got to be real careful on our end with that. But Browning does a really good job of speaking to and selling to those customers who, reload, who are shooting long range, who understand that. So we can figure out something potentially there. But at current, we don't really have anything where we're planning on just putting them in just a standard 270 box. We really have to be careful with that, I think.
Yeah, that is the big deal that's going on because, you're like you mentioned, you're dealing with problems on multiple different levels with that, both on a demand side of, having to get enough interest and at the same time people using it appropriately and safely and all that stuff. So fair enough. I thought that was just an interesting development.
Oh, yeah.
It's always interesting
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's all right.
Well, I was going to say the 277 cal bullet, it's a 277 cal bullet. That bullet has a lot of potential, and that's why I think, with the 6.8 Western, it works so well because the if you're a bullet nerd about things, the sectional density of that thing is tremendous. You get a lot of weight out of it, but it's also kind of a smaller diameter, and it's just the amount of penetration you can get out of that is pretty good. And, it's one of those things where it's just twist rates have really kind of limited it over time. But again, you got a ton of people out there with their standard 270 that are still clamoring for ammo and still need more. And, you put something out there, will they say, well, maybe I'll try it because that's all I can find. And then the next thing you know, not that it'd be unsafe, it just might not be as accurate as what they'd like,
Mm-hmm. Okay, very, very good. Well, anything else that we need to cover with regards to new developments with Winchester or Browning today?
I think we covered them pretty well. I just appreciate you giving us the opportunity to do this. I always like talking new products, and it's amazing how every year we have a bunch of them, and we're able to come up with stuff that people want and need. And I just appreciate having the platform to talk about them.
All right, well, very good. It's always great having you on the show, Ben. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
All right, thanks.
As always, there is a link in the show notes to where you can learn more about these new developments from Browning and Winchester on the ammo side. And we'll do some other podcasts here later on down the line about things with the rifle side of those companies. Now, as we are seeing with most of the other manufacturers, we're getting good news with this stuff. And I am especially happy to see and hear that the situation with the 6.8 Western is improving as well, because I think that is a good cartridge. I have had a good number of people contact me over the past year saying things like, why aren't Browning and Winchester supporting the 6.8 Western, right? They released this new cartridge and then they're not building any rifles or ammo for it. Well, it may not have looked that way when those things were really hard to get, but I think Browning and Winchester are doing their best to support it. They're introducing new ammo offerings for the cartridge, and same with rifles, and they're doing their best to improve availability in their existing lines, and especially in cases where other companies make the bullets, like we talked about. But like I said, and like Ben and I talked about, things are getting better on that front as well. Everybody was struggling, and now everyone is starting to get a handle on things. In fact, I actually saw some 6.8 Western ammo with the 165 grain AccuBond long range in stock today as I record this in late January 2023. It has been a long time since I have seen any of that Winchester Expedition big game long range ammo in 6.8 Western in stock, with my own eyes. So this is great news to see that. Now, it may not still be available by the time you listen to this, but email me, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com, if you want info on where I found it. Now, the past few years have been really frustrating, but it's looking like things are getting a whole lot better with availability in general. Now, I've always said that you can tell when a new cartridge is really starting to catch on when other companies start making rifles and ammo for it. Well, Christensen Arms picking up the 6.8 Western is good news indeed, and hopefully others will follow on both the rifle and the ammo fronts. More to follow with that stuff. Okay, let's switch gears here and briefly talk about Africa before we wrap up. It's January as I record this episode, and we are in the peak of booking season for outfitted hunts. Like I mentioned on the podcast before, we have recently acquired a brand new hunting area in South Africa's Limpopo province. I will be hunting there in May on the podcast hunt with a couple of you guys who will be joining me, but you can also go there and have the whole place to yourself. Now, this place is located on the border with Botswana in the Bushveld of Limpopo province. That part of South Africa is famous as one of the best destinations for kudu, blue wildebeest, and impala hunting in all of southern Africa. Now, in addition to those species, this part of the country is also home to a large and diverse population of many other species of game, like Cape buffalo, eland, gemsbok, giraffe, sable, warthog, waterbuck, and zebra. You'll get to see herds of antelope roaming the countryside, crocodile and hippo in the river, and hear the sounds of hyenas and jackals at night. In short, this area is great for a serious hunter who wants an authentic African safari adventure with fantastic hunting, comfortable accommodations, and where you can see a side of Africa that few other outfitters can provide. In short, these hunts are for serious hunters who want to experience a classic Africa hunting adventure. If that describes you, then send me an email, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com, or visit bestsafarihunt.com, or click the link in the show notes, and we'll get you set up with the hunt you've always dreamed of. Our 10-day Bushveld package is a great place to start with a hunt there. So is our 7-day First-Timers Adventure. And we can, of course, also set you up with a Cape Buffalo hunt, just for Cape Buffalo, or do a combo Cape Buffalo Plains game hunt. All of our hunting packages can be modified if you want to add additional days or hunt different or additional animals, or we can also just build you a straight-up, completely custom hunt. Mention that you heard about Big Game Hunting Adventures through the Big Game Hunting Podcast, and I will offer you a special bonus when you book. Several podcast listeners joined us for hunts in 2022, and they all had a great time. We got several other guys joining us for hunts this year in 2023 and 2024, and it's not too late for you to get in on the action either. As I'm recording this, we have limited availability in June, July, August, September, and October of 2023. June 2024 is now completely booked, but we have at least some availability for most other months. Contact me for specific dates available. Don't mess around if you want to take advantage of this opportunity. That's bestsafarihunt.com, or email me directly, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com. Remember, you can make your dream hunt turn into a reality, and I can help. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you back here next time on the Big Game Hunting Podcast.
This show may be over, but we have plenty more for you on our website. For more information on today's topic, as well as lots of other useful hunting resources, head over to thebiggamehuntingblog.com. We look forward to having you back for the next episode. But until then, happy hunting.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.